Well, here we are, another doom and gloom video about the drone hobby. Ladies and gentlemen, doom and gloom. Welcome to the panel, gents.
Thank you, Ken.
So
Thanks
we
for
are
having
the brain trust that's gonna sort this all out for everybody. This is the only video you'll need to watch to know exactly what's happening with our beloved hobby. Ryan, kick it off. Tell us why everything's great.
Oh, well, everything's great because everybody and his brother thinks that the hobby is dead, that DJIs aren't able to fly anymore, that you'll never be able to buy another DJI or part for any type of drone made overseas.
But the truth is,
none of that is the truth.
None of it? Bruce, do you agree? Is none of that the truth? We can still, right?
It's all lies, it's all propaganda. We know the truth, and you're going to hear it here tonight, today, whenever.
Okay, all right. Well, that's compelling. People are going to watch the hell out of this whole video.
So put it on auto repeat.
Yeah. So should we be sad? I hate doing doom and gloom, but I do want to get the information out, the real information, the up to date. What's really happening, the boots on the ground. So Ryan, explain to people who you are and why you would know everything.
Well, that's a big challenge right there. I am the Director of Regulatory Affairs for the Great Lakes Drone Company, and I've been doing drones for a long time, more than a decade. I go out and advocate for drones, sue different places that try to prevent drones, and win in court. So we're making a real impact. But I try to keep up on all the legal aspects of drones.
Yeah. So, Bruce, what do you think we should start with? You're kind of got your ear to the rail of the drone world.
Yeah, I guess the big thing is that covered list and what's going to happen. Where do we get our drone parts? Where do we get our drones? Because you have to get them made in the USA. You can't bring them in anymore. And there's a lot of confusion surrounding what the covered list is, what is covered, what's not, why it's covered, and what will happen if you ignore the fact that some imports are now prohibitory.
Some of this would even affect RC cars, apparently.
Indeed, and boats and RC trucks.
Right.
A lot of collateral damage in this.
Well, when I go out and I see the forums, I see a lot of people with great confusion. One, I can't fly my drone now. No, you can. There's nothing that's changed with the current drone that's in your possession. You're going to be able to fly. You're going to be able to crash it. There's probably still parts available for it.
Good.
You can go from there.
Well, parts are still available.
Certainly. There's parts that have been here for years, right?
Right.
Even on secondhand market, go out to eBay, what have you, you're going to find used parts. There's going to be new parts that are still in stock at store shelves. Those don't come off of store shelves. That's not a ban to say, oh, we got to remove these. No,
right. They're not. It's not like prohibition. They're not taking motors and batteries off the shelves and burning them.
Bingo.
Right.
The challenge is there are going to be drones that want to come to market. Right. The new, let's say, Mavic 8 is coming out. Everybody's excited, right?
Is the 8 coming out already?
Go figure, right? But the FCC is going to be disallowed from approving the signal for that drone. So it's not going to come to the U.S. market.
And it's because of the FCC. That's how it goes. For those who don't know, it starts off, if you're going to put a new product on the market, you have to, and you want to sell it in the United States, it has to have FCC approval.
And the problem with the covered list we've got is that a lot of the items on there don't actually need FCC certification, which is a real problem, because if something is already being imported and it's FCC approved, you can continue to import it. It's only things that don't have certification at the moment can no longer be imported. So new items, new drones, whatever. But the problem is things like batteries and motors, they were never certified, so you can't bring those in because you don't have a certification to rely on for the previously imported side of things. The problem with DJI, of course, is that you've got multiple bans in place here. You've got the human rights, the Uyghur slave labor thing, which is why so many DJI drones are being held now by customs. Even before the December 22nd, whenever it was very hard to import a DJI product because it was seized at the border because of alleged human rights violations by DJI. And now you've got on top of that the covered list where they're specifically mentioned, and the general drones and drone components from overseas countries. So they've got a triple whammy on them.
There's a lot of overstepping, though, it seems, as far and
That's the way
confusion.
politicians work.
And confusion. Well, I think it may not be confusion. It may be intentional ignorance when it comes to politicians to try to regulate a flight controller the same way they would, a battery the same way they would a flight controller. That seems crazy to me. A passive,
I think
dumb
they're
battery.
talking about UAV systems, drone systems, and in the case of things like batteries, the FCC hasn't actually certified dumb batteries like just ordinary 6-cell lipos in the past. But in theory, they could, because they become part of a system that transmits radio frequencies. Therefore, they are a component of a transmitting system. Therefore, they could demand that every component is certified because,
that's going down a rabbit hole that I don't think legally they're going to be able to accomplish.
No. But what they do have is that they now maintain that covered list, and they simply communicate to the border control people what's allowed in and what's not allowed in. Even though they themselves are not certifying it, they can pass that information on. It's the border that will police this. The border, the import.
Right, but us in the community, we can see all the nuance and the logic that doesn't jibe in this. But politicians and those in charge, it seems like drones bad. Boom, stamp.
Yeah,
that's it. Drones bad.
Let's do make clear though that anything that currently has an FCC signal approved is still available. It can be sold in the United States. So when we say, hey, you can't get a new DJI drone, that's not truthful. You can. In fact, there's a 360 DJI drone that already has FCC approval that has not even yet been released.
The Avata,
right? But it has FCC approval, so it will be available at some point.
The problem is, though, it could still be seized at the border because of the human rights violations. That's why people...
And that is a separate issue, right?
Yeah, it's a triple whammy. Human rights, the specific mentioning of DJI in the covered list, and then the more generic side of the covered list for any drones, foreign drones and drone components. So 3 times they're trying to block them.
Well, but you have to set aside the covered list because that won't be qualified at that point, right? Those already have FCC signal approval, so they're good to go. Now you do have to get past the import customs challenge that was placed by Representative Elise Stefanik. I think that one is going to work itself out here soon. There's some legal challenges going on with that. It was a bogus claim. Everybody really knows that. And so that will go away. Let's say they do say, okay, the Mavic 6 is not going to come to the U.S. market because it's not going to get an FCC approval, and yet DJI is releasing it. That doesn't mean that you aren't going to see the Mavic 6 here in the United States. You're just going to see a lot of people go to Canada, go to Japan, and they're going to bring it back with them.
Can you do that? Can you bring them back?
Legally,
Bruce?
No. You're going to be in a
Bruce has some thoughts on this. Bruce?
Yeah, my research into that shows that there's some fairly significant penalties involved in importing an item that's on the covered list, whether you're doing it commercially or personally. If you're doing it commercially, it's up to 20 years in jail if you egregiously breach that list, and so very significant fines. Remember when Hobby King got fined, was it $6 or $7 million for bringing in uncertified FPV transmitters a few years back? They got a huge fine from the FCC because it was a non-certified product. So anything that's not already certified and you bring it in and it's on the covered list, you face the same penalties. From a personal perspective, the least that could happen is you get the item seized by the customs people, and they can also levy fines on top of that. So it's and because this is all done in the name of national security, there are other implications as well. There's criminal liabilities if you're doing this. So it's something you're going to be really cautious of, just saying, I'll just bring it in and hope I don't get caught. If you do get caught, you're probably going to be in trouble. And one of the things is that they will make an example of people, probably high profile people. If someone's got a big YouTube channel and they get caught bringing in something on the covered list, they will get the book thrown at them to provide a chilling effect against others, in which way Philly Drone Life, sort of got raked over the coals, and probably in the hope that others wouldn't follow in his footsteps.
So if there is a new drone that comes out and somebody gets one, and that's one of the ones that you can't import and you can't bring in, and you have it,
I wouldn't make a big noise about it.
Really? So there's going to be actual drone police?
essentially what you're saying is, and it's truthful, that when you're going through the border, you need to declare anything that you've purchased overseas that you're bringing into the country. If you don't declare it, then you are in violation of those laws regarding declaration. So it could be taken from you, confiscated. You could have a fine levied upon you. The chances of that happening aren't 100%. In fact, there probably aren't even 50%. And so I think there will be people who take that risks, right? And you will start to see some of those things float across. Well, we're talking in the future, right? We're not even talking within the next year.
Right.
So you're going to continue to see the Mavic 4 available for sale. What is it? The Mini 5 is available for sale. Brand new off the shelves, right? We still have DJI authorized retailers that are selling those items.
What is the cause of all this at its heart? Is it just fear of China? Is it what is it? Because we already have these things that can do spying. We already have these things, right? And it's not like Huawei, where it was a legit concern. I mean, I think DJI has been pretty accommodating as far as being transparency, as far as a multi-billion-dollar company can be. You agree or not?
Well, how about a history lesson?
Okay.
Right? Because we can go back, right? So we know that in 2017, the Army was raising a red flag about potential security concerns of data with DJI drones. Well, where does that come from? They didn't really study anything at that point. In fact, when they later studied it, they said, oh, everything's fine. We don't have a security flaw. Well, it goes back to even further forward, right? 2014, there was a conversation that took place with DJI and with Apple as well. And that was regarding a Chinese law that got passed that any data by the companies had to be shared with the Chinese government. And so you have the American politicians going, oh, wait a minute here. That means that these companies are Chinese owned. Well, Apple was involved in that. They were producing out of China too. So, why aren't we banning Apple just as you're showing your phone? Same difference. I think the concern is each and every time that DJI was brought forward, Navy was trying to oust them. The Department of Interior actually was looking for them to correct that. And in 2019, they were able to do that and got a waiver. What you had is DJI saying, audit, go forward. Check out our cybersecurity. In fact, we're going to put in place an ability for you to have localized data where it can't be shared anywhere. And we're going to share that with the U.S. government. And they did. At least 6 different cybersecurity audits were performed on DJI by independent agencies, and nothing was ever found. So this is fully a geopolitical campaign by persons in our government to oust DJI drones, the biggest market player, right, in an effort to bring up the U.S. market or U.S. manufacturers, even though they are well behind the game.
Yeah. Bruce, you look like you've got some thoughts rattling around in there on this.
I do. I think the risks are greatly overstated, but DJI has been their own worst enemy in this, because early on, remember that there's a video file floating around of all the stuff that was actually sent back to China from DJI drones way back in the early days.
In the telemetry.
Pictures, all that stuff. Oh, no, pictures, video, footage, the whole lot. Kevin, is it Finisterre, I think his name is, goes by the name of / on X. He routed all this out, and he went through all the protocols and proved that this stuff was going back to China. And DJI said, I think at the time, it was just an experiment. It was just wasn't something they planned to do all the time. But he found that out. And even today, I mean, I bought myself the little Neo drone, fantastic little drone. But I went out to fly it at the local park, and it said, I have to log on before I'm allowed to fly beyond 50 feet away. And what the hell? Why do I need to be logged in? I have to have the DJI Go app, or DJI Fly has to be logged in. I have to log into my DJI account. Why do you need me to log in just to fly my own drone? That makes no sense. Apparently, every few months, if you don't log in, it drops you back to a sort of a much restricted mode. So why is DJI demanding access to my flight logs? Because I'm logging in, I'm connected through the internet to DJI server, my drone's there. What do they want? What are they trying to get back out of me?
That sounds kind of
Bruce,
sneaky.
what I'll say is, do you know when you're saying DJI server where you're actually logging to?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, DJI say it's all in America now, it's all done. But at any stage, because this is the server we're talking about, they can flick a switch and that can be routed back to China. It may be now. It's like Volkswagen. You put them on, test the emissions, that's fine. As soon as you take it off the testing, away it goes spewing.
You think
CO2
it's that
out again.
deep?
You can't trust these things.
I mean, it's fun to be conspiratorial, but some of the actual facts do seem conspiratorial. Like, the investments that certain politicians are making in certain companies, and
yes. Unusual machines springs to mind.
Yeah. What about them, Bruce?
Well, a child of Donald Trump has a very large stockholding in unusual machines.
Does he?
Which means he stands to benefit if the stock price goes up. He's also an advisor to the board. So he gets to have a lot of input into what happens. So one would certainly hope that he wasn't involved in the formation of government policy in respect to these things, because you could very easily enrich your family by doing that. I would never suggest that's the case, but some people have, I believe.
Wasn't it Google's mantra to don't be evil, right?
Yeah, don't be evil.
Do you think the United States government would have a similar?
No, they have one that says don't get caught.
Ah!
Where are Ring doorbell cameras made?
Yeah, right.
Is it really? Which is the biggest security threat? I know they've effectively banned the import of Chinese EVs, because all EVs these days have got cameras and they're all connected online all the time. So, that may be one of the reasons for doing that. But how do you know about others? I mean, China makes most of the cameras in the world. Yeah. And, with IP cameras, you don't know what they're trying to talk to, when you're not looking.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm still waiting for Zenith to make a drone. Zenith, nobody remembers that was an American company that made TVs a while ago.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
And let's look at, who had previously been making drones in the United States, right? You had Solo, the 3DR robotics, right? 3D robotics. They had opportunity to take on DJI. They blew it.
Didn't they shift the operations down to Mexico before they shut up shop?
They moved things out to Mexico before they shut down. But yeah, they started in the U.S. You had GoPro, who was in here in the U.S. They tried to rush things through, and the karma ended up being karma, right? So
do people, by the way, do people still think Autel is an American company? Does anyone think that anymore?
No.
People, we know, right? I mean, they know. Right?
It's just a shame that Lily drone never came to fruition, eh?
Lily?
The Lily drone?
Wow, we are such nerds.
Down.
We're such drone nerds that we know that.
We talk about all these foreign components that were placed on the covered list. Do you know that there was exceptions made just today?
For what?
So there were some manufacturers who were given complete exemptions from that. Parrot is one of those. That just came out this morning.
Where is Parrot based?
The French,
originally France.
Yeah. But this raises another issue, actually. It's a really important thing. This wasn't a ban blocking imports from China or countries that potentially pose a security threat. It was a total ban. Even the US's closest allies, you can't import drone parts from them. So if it's about national security, surely you can trust your allies, can't you?
But it's not just drone parts, right? I mean, it's any kind of transmitty kind of thing, which means no new cell phones.
Yeah, if it was related to drones, I think in some way, but also if it's dual purpose, it's also covered. So I made a video and I thought, you should import truck batteries or truck lipos, and then just use them on your drone.
Right,
but no, if it can be used in a drone and it's dual purpose, then it's still covered.
Yeah.
So all the model truck guys, the model car guys, the model boat guys that want to import motors and batteries, well, they could find themselves caught out with this.
This is why I worry, because as knowledgeable as we are about all of this, anybody watching, most people watching this have been in the hobby for a while, and they kind of know the deal. Things come and go, and things change. NPRMs come and they go, but for the people that see drones, they're like, "Hey, that's cool. Maybe I'll get a drone," and then they hear, "Well, I have to do this and that." And then this is going on, and I can't get that, and this and that. People want the threshold for getting into it is made a lot harder, and that's a shame, because I don't think the hobby's growing as it once was. And
I think that was the big thing that I saw online of people saying, well, now I can't get DJI Care. I'm really concerned about flying my drone because if I crash it, I'm done. Well, guys, you got to get away from that concept. One, if you want DJI Care and you can't get it, go get yourself drone insurance. It's going to write you a check for the drone, right? And there are repair shops that have plenty of stock for parts that they're going to be able to fix you up. Fly, have fun.
So right now, as it is right now, there's nobody riding around. There's no agency looking for you as a drone pilot. You can just...
Oh, yeah, they got their remote ID receivers turned on, just trying to hunt you down. Remote ID, remember that? Oh.
Yeah.
Ryan's right. There's a lot of stuff in the supply chain already. It'll take a while before that all filters through. Although you try buying an O4E unit from a DJI outlet today, and you can't get them from anywhere really. They've all sold out, all the O4E units.
Oh, I have a friend who keistered one from Canada. He put it in his prison wallet, got it over
bring
the
them in
board.
yourself.
Yeah.
All the parts eventually will dry up because there's a demand and there's no supply, and the prices will go through the roof, and people will feel scared to fly their drone in case they break it, because even an independent supply repairer, if they can't get the board or they can't get the components, they can't fix your drone for you. And I had 22 emails between Christmas and New Year from people primarily in the USA saying that they've been in the hobby for a long time, they really enjoy it, but they're giving up because it's just getting too hard. They've got the increasing price because now you've got tariffs and everything. The price of everything's going up, and with the cost of living going up as well, it becomes an expensive luxury to fly a drone. You've got the increasing lack of availability with the covered list now will affect supply of things, and also the regulatory environment and the social environment. We were once seen as wonderful outgoing people, but the hobby was like educational and it was great for kids and it was parts of STEM programs, but now we're just seen as training for the war in Ukraine.
Right, or we're pedos.
Yeah,
that's the way it's always been.
So
right.
So we've got a lot of things coming up against us. And what I fear is that if the hobby does decline, most people are introduced to the hobby through YouTube videos or through people they see flying in a park or something. If people no longer fly in the parks because they don't have the drones or they're too scared of Karens or whatever, then new potential entrants are not going to be exposed. And if you look on YouTube now, there's nowhere near as many drone videos as there used to be. It used to be all over the place. Now I go looking for them and it's hard to find a decent drone video. A lot of the creators have stopped creating or they've pivoted to something else. Even bot grinders doing board games now. It's like, it's crazy. So we run the risk that we become invisible. The public don't see us anymore. Therefore, they don't get exposed to us, and we don't get new people coming into the hobby. And this is true even of model aircraft and things, because my first exposure to model aircraft was when I was a little kid. I wasn't even going to school. I was at a park with my mother. I heard a noise, and it was a control line plane going around in circles, old nitro control line plane. These days, you'd be arrested immediately because it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
But we stood and watched this thing, and then I got into the hobby. But if I hadn't seen that model airplane at that time, I may never have got into the hobby.
Right. I have to admit, I do fly differently, especially FPV, knowing that the availability of replacement stuff is so scarce. I do fly a little bit more carefully, but I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
So as far as the future, what can we do? Ryan, you continue to fight the good fight here and there against local municipalities and try to set precedent. What can people viewing this, what can the little guy do? What can we do?
Well, one, I would have optimism, right? So yes, the supply chain over time is going to dwindle, right? But at the same token, I think what you're going to see is potentially opportunity where you do have the FCC approval for those items already, right? That means that they could go back and build more of that particular item that's available to them. So that would resupply the supply lines. Now that's one opportunity. I think the other we've seen is, hey, let's ban TikTok. Is TikTok banned today? No, they worked a deal. And as long as somebody got their pockets greased, it was all good. So I think that's an opportunity as well. Those kind of things can come together to change the trajectory of this quote unquote ban.
We've got a lot of powerful people in play here. And right back, we should have made the move. When I say we, I'm talking on behalf of Americans, should have made the move when they first tabled the revocation of Section 336. That was the time for the hobby to push back and say, unacceptable,
Yeah.
not going to happen. Instead, we watched Rich Hansen sleep through several webcasts, and the AMA just said, well, let's do a deal with the FAA so that our members are safe, and to hell with everybody else. It was just, I could see it all falling apart right then, and it's just gone increasingly worse and worse. Then we got registration, then we got remote ID, and now we've got these covered lists. It's heading in one direction and one direction only. There was the weight of numbers back then that if everybody had stood their ground and said no, not having it, there might have been an opportunity to push back, at least get things unwound a little bit. But now I think if the hobby continues to sort of become less visible, it's much harder. You don't have the presence, you don't have the numbers, you don't have the might to push back. And now that national security is the buzzword, national security trumps everything. Excuse the word Trump, but it does. Even the Constitution can be set aside if it's a matter of national security. So they've played their ace card. If they say national security, you can't object to that because you're seen as unpatriotic and not supporting America. So they've really sort of, where do you go from here?
I hate to kick social media in the balls because that's what we're doing right now. But, it's because of so much social media and information and readily available stuff like you're watching right now and opinions just flying about that this is dragging on and on and on in such an echo chamber. I remember, I'm old enough to remember, and maybe one or two of you are old enough to remember when cassettes came out. Cassettes were gonna be the death knell of records, and then CDs were gonna ruin the music industry. But that all kind of worked itself out, right? I remember so much technology that came and went, like CB radios. That was very tightly regulated when it first came out, but the FCC is like, all right, you don't need a license anymore. Have at it, have fun, But now that we have all of this and we're talking about it, and there's so much doom and gloom, and politicians, and round and round and round we go, and then somebody's strapping a bomb to a drone, and then other people are peeping somebody's back, and there's always negatives. It just seems, and I'm hopeful to the future. I want to say this for the record. I really think it's all going to work out in the end. I think this is just a shitty time that we're going through. I think in the end, there's going to be a lot of people falling out of the hobby, sure. But there'll be a time, I really believe, when it'll all even out. Drones will become so innocuous, like a microwave oven, like any other technology that you have, that people will know about it. There'll be regulations that everybody can get on board with. I don't know how many years it'll take, but I really believe in the end it'll all work out and we can just fly and not worry so much about it. Do you agree? Yeah,
you hope for the best and plan for the worst.
You do.
But the difference with our hobby is that cassette tapes weren't weaponized. They weren't killing people. VHS tapes didn't kill people. Drones kill people in the theatre of war. And this is the big thing that the public have been indoctrinated by media. And this is again where the hobby has fallen flat on its face. Why every time there was a story in the media about drones threatening airports or drones doing this, where was the AMA coming out with a press release countering that and putting the hobby side of perspective? As the biggest representative of the hobby, they should have been out there pushing back, but they didn't. They just let it wash over them. I don't know how many newspapers and TV stations I have emailed and said, look, there's errors in your story, like when the drones over New York, New Jersey, right? The big, the nighttime drones everyone was looking at. And I said, well, look, we've got remote ID. Has anybody checked to see if there's any remote ID signals? If the drone's there and they've got remote ID, we should know. And everybody who had half a brain could see these were aircraft. Yet the FAA themselves didn't even come out until way after everyone was recognized it was aircraft and tracked the ADS-B signals against the actual videos and things. The FAA finally came out and said, no, there's nothing to worry about. But until then, they were telling people, we're looking into these drones.
Well, the government works very slowly, like molasses, but the news cycles work like... So they wanted to perpetuate that and keep it going and keep the mystery alive and there's more lights. Yeah. Tune in, watch the commercials for our lubricated catheters. Brought to, So
that's the thing. The media is our enemy. We've been vilified in the media, and the public. It creates public perception, which is why the public are in some ways pretty anti-drone right now. But we've never pushed back as a community, and we don't have a single voice. Most other things, like if you've got gun, you've got the NRA and the USA. It's a massive body that can push back against ridiculous regulation. But the drone community doesn't have anything. The closest we could have hoped for was the AMA, and they don't like drones anyway. So they just did their own thing and struck a deal with the FAA, so they got their own little playgrounds which were regulation free to quite a degree.
But we've got individuals like you guys do it. Ryan is in our corner. You are in our corner. You're in the corner of the world, Bruce, in New Zealand. But Ryan, give us some good legal news. Because I know you have
legal
some
news. Oh man, I have some legal news, but it is not good.
All right, well, roll credits.
So we had been waiting for more than a year in the decision of MCDO versus the University of Michigan. This is where the University of Michigan had put forward a drone ordinance disallowing anybody to fly from or on their campus or over their campus, right? They'd put this in place despite Michigan having a law that says no political subdivision can create or enforce their own drone ordinance. So we took them to court. And in that court case, they made all kinds of arguments as to why they needed this ordinance and why we shouldn't win. The judge himself was a University of Michigan graduate. That doesn't help us. And so after a full year, more than a full year, after all the arguments had been laid out, a decision finally came in that said the ordinance was in fact valid. They denied and said that University of Michigan was not a political subdivision, even though all their officers are elected by the state of Michigan citizens. It gave them the full autonomy over their campus, including the airspace, where they said the FAA allows various localities to put in place their own rules regarding things.
That's such a slippery slope. Is this the first instance of this?
This is the first time the court said that, right? So we had in terms of Singer versus Newton City, which is a federal case where the court ruled the FAA does have sole jurisdiction over airspace and ousted the local ordinance. So here's a state court going against the federal court. So inevitably, we're going to be back to a federal court suit. It has to happen to make sure that that Singer case is fully renewed in this district as well. And that means that, hey, it could potentially have to go through appeals.
Right, good. So you
believe that we're also going to have to appeal at the state level too.
But you're not giving up. You're going to try to prevent this from becoming negative precedent.
I absolutely cannot give up because I know that we're in the right.
Yeah.
The challenge is doing this is going to take time, effort, and money.
How do people help out with that money part?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up.
You bet.
We do have an MCDO legal fund. I'm encouraging everybody, hit that up. Try to give us what you can. This is the fight to keep airspace up and free.
Excellent. And there's a link in the description for that, and also Ryan's email if you want to contact him directly if you have any questions, if you get in trouble. Before we go, I have a statement from a very prominent person in the FPV community who wanted to remain anonymous. And so they wrote out a statement. I took their text, and to keep it truly anonymous, I let AI have a little bit of fun with it.
As pilots, we've been here before. We've faced disruption, pressure, and overreach from the government time and time again. And every time, the FPV community has watched Danchibbers freak out and declare the death of the hobby. But we just kept flying. Years ago, they tried to force remote ID onto FPV. They asked us for comments, ignored our concerns, and we ignored their law. It even backfired when DJI took down geofencing. But the sky didn't fall, the hobby didn't die, the community didn't disappear. Now we're hearing noise again. This time through the FCC, closing a technological wall around our country and blocking every county from getting FCC approval on new proj. No more antennas from Canada. No more flight controllers from the Netherlands. No more motors from China. So let's ask the obvious questions. Who gave the FCC authority over motors and batteries? Are they in charge of the airwaves, or are they suddenly in charge of hardware engineering and global manufacturing? Did the FCC have authority to hand Trump Jr.'s company, Unusual Machines, Red Cat Rotor Riot the bag? Did we ever seek FCC approval for motors, frames, batteries, or flight controllers in the past? And do we really believe that FPV will suddenly start doing that now? FPV exists because engineers, hobbyists, and creators build things, often in garages, basements, and small workshops, pushing innovation forward without asking permissions first. That's not a loophole. That's the foundation of innovation itself. If the US government truly believes it's in its best interest to shut down that creativity, to block global collaboration, and to smother a grassroots technical community, then they're free to try. But history tells us how that ends. FPV isn't going away. It isn't going to comply itself out of existence. And it certainly won't stop because someone decided innovation should be fenced in by borders and paperwork. So take a breath, keep perspective, and most importantly, keep calm and keep on flying.
What was that last part there? What was that? That's pretty heavy, man. That's pretty heavy.
Who was the guy that said, don't comply, don't fit remote ID?
Oh, that was me.
And you, but I pushed that and people were going, oh, you're just stupid.
Yeah,
so that's the thing. There's a myopia, there's an unwillingness to accept that bad things may happen. And to ignore things until they reach the point where they can't be ignored, sometimes by which time it's too late to change them. And that's been the biggest problem that we've faced, I think.
Yeah.
And it concerns me because this, if it wasn't for the fact that this is being billed as national security, I think all it was in that statement would be fine. But they've used the national security trump card, and look at that situation in where an ICE agent has shot someone. That woman was labelled a domestic terrorist by the authorities. A domestic terrorist. So if you get caught flying an FPV drone and you crash it, and they have a look and they find, wow, that motor was never imported into the country, or this drone is on the covered list, are you going to be called a domestic terrorist?
We don't know. Yeah.
This is
seems like within the realm of possibility.
It's a whole level of magnitude up. It's a level of magnitude more worrying than just having something like, something's banned or whatever, because the national security thing is just, it's a license to do whatever they want to do.
Well, I hate to end it on that.
I wanted to counter Ryan, who was all positive. I thought we just got a good balance.
Let's get back to rainbows and unicorns. I would agree. I would say don't put your head in the sand because your goggles would fog up. But thank you guys very much for being a part of this. We welcome all your comments below. Do check out the links in the description. Subscribe to this guy's channel.
OnlyFans. On the OnlyFans page. That's all you need.
Both of them. And help this guy out because he's helping all of us out. And get out there and fly.
The sun will always rise tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
No worries, mate.